The president of Brazil, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, has assured that with the enlargement of the BRICS Forum, the world is no longer the same. The United States National Hurricane Center has confirmed that Hurricane Idalia reached Category 4 and is now approaching the Big Bend region of Florida. And in Gabon, a military faction seized power and dissolved governmental institutions, ousting the president Ali Bongo, who remains in house arrest. Hello from the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba. This is from the south. I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada, and these are the news. The president of Brazil, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, has assured that with the expansion of the BRICS bloc, the world is no longer the same. This was stated during the first broadcast of this week's Talk with the President program after his return from his tour through Africa. While reviewing the results of the Johannesburg summit held last week, in which 6 new countries were invited to join in, the Brazilian president confirmed that power relations in the world have changed. As an example, he explained that the G7 has gone from having 44% of purchasing parity to 29%, while the now powerful Global South bloc has 32%. In Argentina, the impeachment commission of the Chamber of Deputies resumed the process against the members of the Supreme Court with the presence of the former Minister of Justice and Security of Porteño, Marcelo de Alessandro. The ex-official Marcelo de Alessandro is accused of influence peddling with Sergio Robles, who was the collaborator of the president of the court, Horacio Rosari. The officialism suspects that de Alessandro exchanged messages with Robles about an alleged connivance related to the court's ruling on the co-participation that benefited the city of Buenos Aires. In the last meeting of the commission, which took place without the presence of the opposition, the existence of new irregularities linked to the summoning of witnesses was denounced. In Honduras, the president, Xiomara Castro, denounced a conspiracy with drug trafficking structures aimed at overthrowing her government. During a popular mobilization in support of her government, the president affirmed that the narco-dictatorships that attack them must be defeated and the neoliberal exploitation model with low salaries and high living costs must be defeated. The president also demanded that the National Council elect the new authorities of the Public Prosecutor's Office. In this same line, the head of state urged unity and resistance so that they do not attack the nation again with coup d'etat nor violence.
Despite our efforts to achieve peace in the Republic and citizens' coexistence, despite my immense tolerance to endure undeserved insults against my status as a woman, leader, and president of the Republic, I'm forced to denounce before the world the conspiracy organized by the mafias and organized crime elites with the structure of drug trafficking to overthrow my government. They want to continue with the larceny.
In the same line, the Honduran president stated that she wants a transparent and corruption-free state.
We want a transparent state without the corruption of public-private alliances, with a strong rule of law, where corruption, illegal exonerations, and money laundering are fought. We want a country where social justice and law prevail.
And in a new episode of Venezuela on the Move, our colleagues Adriana Sibori and Jesus Romero take us to another remote spot in the Venezuelan geography, El Jarrillo in Miranda State. There, in the slope of the mountains, local farmers look for new sustainable ways to ensure production, while honoring their traditions and their heritage. This is the Venezuela that resists and also grows. Let's see.
The mountainous landscape opens and gives way to the fog. El Jarrillo is one of the villages in the area that stands out from the heights, and the climate does not exceed 18 degrees. José Adrián was 100% dedicated to flowers, but he was seduced by a new love.
I am extremely in love with this type of cultivation. Venezuelan coffee is so incredible that every day you find something different. A new flavor, a new texture, a new body, and the sweetness of this coffee.
These are specialty coffee beans. The red beans are sweeter than the yellow ones. He does all the work himself in the fields, where he spends hours collecting, then he cleans the harvest beans to finally roast them. His coffee has won the 8th place in international events, and he sells it to local inhabitants.
I will not leave Venezuela even if they take me tied up.
The neighbor is someone who won't leave either. We follow his steps to his farm, where he was also a floriculturist. However, due to the difficult economic situation, he was forced to change his line of farming.
My grandparents were farmers, and by inheritance my parents were farmers as well. The farm is a family farm. My wife and my daughter help me, but we also have 8 other people who collaborate in the cultivation work.
They are looking for excellence, and one of the vegetables they collect is Romanesco broccoli, which is a mix with cauliflower, and the interesting thing is that according to experts, they have perfect geometry, and they have repeated designs in different sizes. These lands are fertile all year long.
Here you can grow anything you plant. El Jarrillo is a beautiful place with a wonderful climate. This soil is excellent to work with.
This family farm has been growing vegetables and fruits for 30 years. Not only outdoors like the typical beaches of the region, but also in the greenhouse where they can control the climate. There you can see strawberries or tomatoes. They have their own irrigation system. The village was founded by Germans about 133 years ago, but is now inhabited by Venezuelans. There are 23 families in the region dedicated to agriculture.
Jesus Romero y Adriana Sibori, Miranda, Venezuela.
Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English, where you will find the news in different formats, news updates and more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back. In the United States, the Biden administration will send an additional $250 million in weapons and ammunition to Ukraine as part of its ongoing support of Kyiv's counteroffensive. The weapons will be drawn from existing U.S. stockpiles, officials said on Tuesday, and will include mine-clearing equipment, artillery and rocket rounds, ambulances and medical gear, among other items and spare parts. Ukraine has already received more than $43 billion from the U.S. since the Russian military operation started last year. Those funds have provided weapon systems like howitzers and millions of rounds as ammunition to fight back against the much larger Russian military.
The department also announced an additional security assistance to meet Ukraine's critical security and defense needs. This announcement is the Biden administration's 45th drawdown of equipment to be provided from DoD inventories to Ukraine since August 2021. It includes additional air defense and artillery munitions, mine-clearing equipment, medical vehicles, and other equipment to help Ukraine counter Russia's ongoing war of aggression. The U.S. will continue to work with its allies and partners to provide Ukraine with the capabilities to meet its immediate battlefield needs, and longer-term security assistance requirements.
And now we move on to other topics. The United States National Hurricane Center has confirmed that Idalia is a deadly Category 4 hurricane and is now approaching the Big Bend region of Florida. At the latest report at 5 a.m. local time, the hurricane's winds registered 209 kilometers per hour. Experts also confirmed catastrophic storm surges. The National Hurricane Center has said that Idalia may strengthen further ahead of a morning collision expected to occur in western Florida. The storm, currently about 60 miles from Cedar Key, underwent impressive and rapid intensification, according to experts, in the past 24 hours.
It's a large hurricane than pretty much the last 8 years that we've been working for this restaurant. It's going to be wiped out, and we're not going to have much left after this, but we're just hoping it's going to go through pretty quick.
This is my first one where I'm like really concerned. The other ones, you know, I wasn't really concerned, but this one right towards us, you know, so it makes it a little nervous, you know. Kind of stay hopeful. That's about it.
United Nations Director General of the International Atomic Energy, Rafael Grossi, says that Japan's release of diluted wastewater from the Fukushima nuclear power plant into the Pacific is safe. The statement comes after countries of the area have been criticizing Tokyo for the water release, which they consider was done unilaterally and ignoring the strong doubts and the opposition of the international community. Japan demanded on Tuesday that China ensure the safety of Japanese citizens, as it claimed a brick had been thrown at its embassy in Beijing in an escalating row over the release of Fukushima water. Japan began releasing more than 500 Olympic swimming pools worth diluted wastewater from Fukushima into the Pacific Ocean on Thursday, 12 years after a tsunami knocked out 3 reactors in one of the world's worst atomic accidents.
Release of the water started last week. The agency has set up a permanent presence there. We have an office in Fukushima now, and experts, and a laboratory which is making our own independent sampling, and so far we have been able to confirm that the first releases of this water do not contain any radionuclide at a level that would be harmful. We can say that it is, but we will continue. This is again something about which we cannot have a definitive judgment. As I like to say, until the last drop is released and it does not contain any harmful radionuclide, we will not be able to say, okay, this is all perfect. But the beginning has been according to what we were expecting.
In Pakistan, where more than 128,000 people have been evacuated from their homes due to the Sutlej River's highest flood in 35 years. The Sutlej's high floods moved downstream after causing serious devastation in and around Bahawalpur city. In the Pakistani province of Punjab, the area most affected by the flood waters from neighboring India. The waters are now headed to the south of Punjab with a medium-high flood and flood risk to a number of districts. Floods on the Sutlej River have completely cut off villages and areas in Pakistan and submerged hundreds of hectares of farmland. Rains and floods cause significant human and material losses in South Asian countries every year, especially during the monsoon period between June and September. In the Philippines, at least 48,000 people were displaced due to the passage of Super Typhoon Zaola through the extreme north of the Philippines. The National Emergency Center reported that the eye of the Super Typhoon crossed the Luzon Strait early on Wednesday morning between the Philippine archipelagos of Babuyan and Batangas, with sustained winds of 195 kilometers. According to the agency, the Super Typhoon has destroyed at least 19 bridges and 28 public roads. Its passage is confirmed to have caused damage to houses near rivers that overflowed in the northern provinces of Isabela and Cayenne on the island of Luzon. Zaola is expected to become a severe tropical storm as it approaches the Chinese coasts. And TeleSUR English launches its own videos on demand site for you to go and revisit our interviews, the top stories, the special broadcastings, and more. Just go to the top left corner in our website homepage and click on the video option to access our VOD platform. And now we will have a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. On early Wednesday morning in Gabon, a group of military personnel claimed themselves members of Committee for the Transition and Restoration of Institutions, seized power and dissolved governmental institutions. The military ousted the president, Ali Bongo, who inherited power from his father, Omar Bongo. In a televised address, the troops denounced that the elections of August 26 were not transparent, credible, nor inclusive. They also announced the closing of the borders, the dissolution of all the institutions of the Republic, including the Senate, the Assembly, and the Constitutional Court. The coup leaders informed that Bongo remains with his family and confirmed the arrest of 7 people, among them Noureddin Bongo, the son of the president. All of the detainees are accused of high treason against the institutions, corruption, and financial embezzlement. In other topics, a rainforest summit held in the Democratic Republic of the Congo urges conservation efforts to address food security for locals. The 3-day regional summit opened on Tuesday in the capital city of Kinshasa with the participation of countries of Central Africa and with the aim of protecting the region's rainforest. Covering 1.62 million square kilometers, the forests of Central Africa represent the planet's second largest carbon sink after the Amazon. They are also home to huge biodiversity, including forest elephants and gorillas, but they face threats such as poaching, deforestation, and illegal logging. The Democratic Republic of Congo, home to 60% of the vast Congo Basin rainforest, is one of the world's poorest countries.
The idea for this summit for us as civil society and our partner AFSA is to be able to put in place and make the community, the political decision makers, and the indigenous populations understand how we can reconcile food production and the conservation of biodiversity in the face of the challenges of climate change.
The government of Algeria presented a plan to address the political crisis in Niger following the recent military coup. Algerian authorities propose a political mediation initiative which includes 6 points and a 6-month timetable for the return to constitutional order in the African country. The initiative is also opposed to any military intervention in the African country. Algiers pointed out that the action plan contemplates a United Nations conference proposing guarantees for all parties in the crisis and organizing a conference on development in the Sahel region. Other countries of the area, such as Guinea, Burkina Faso, and Mali, advocated a peaceful solution to the conflict in Niamey. On Tuesday, during her meeting with Premier Li Qian in Beijing, the Secretary of Commerce, Gina Raimondo, reiterated that the U.S. does not seek to decouple with China. Welcoming Raimondo at the Great Hall of the People on Tuesday afternoon, Li, China's number 2, said a healthy trade and economic relationship between the two countries will be beneficial to both sides and the world. Raimondo met with Commerce Minister Wang Wentao a day earlier and said they agreed during a 4-hour meeting to launch an information exchange on export control. Additionally, Raimondo said that they will also set up a working group of officials and the private sector representatives to seek solutions on trade and investment issues.
Economic and trade relations between China and the United States are mutually beneficial. Politicizing economic and trade issues and exaggerating the concept of security will not only seriously affect bilateral relations and mutual trust, but also undermine the interest of the enterprises and peoples of the two countries and have a disastrous impact on global economy.
And we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media for all the latest news. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.